What's the key to fruitfulness? Pruning. Pruning. Some years ago, our family moved into a home that originally the entire estate was an apple orchard. Very old, mature apple trees. Most of them had been torn down for the construction of the homes. In our yard, they left a few of the very old trees, apple trees. And season came and went. This one particular tree, it bore no fruit at all. It was a fruitless tree. It was, to use Peter's language, unfruitful. It had not been pruned in years. Branches way up in the air, down on the ground. Literally, the branches in every direction, taking the entire yard, laying on the ground. So I brought in a gardener, and I asked him, all right, what do we do? He said, well, what do you want? I said, I want that tree to be fruitful. I want to see some apples. He said, well, then we're going to need to give it a severe pruning. And this was a curious line, and I give it to you who are older saints. He said, even a good tree becomes unfruitful unless it continues to be pruned. Some of you are good trees. You've borne a lot of fruit, but you're not bearing a lot of fruit right now because you're fighting the pruning. It doesn't mean you're a bad tree. It means you've not been well pruned. I said, well, what do we do? He said, well, you've got sucker branches and all of the life and energy is being wasted, not invested. That's why it's unfruitful. He said, so I'm going to need to prune it. I said, okay, what's that going to be like? He said, it's going to be severe. Like this tree is going to be, having PTSD for a year. It's going to be a rough year for the tree. At first, he started with a few little shears, and then he got out a saw and started taking off. So at first, he was looking at the good branches, taking off the sucker branches, and then he was looking at the dead branches that used to be fruitful but were no longer fruitful, and he was sawing them off entirely so that all of the life and energy of the tree would go to the new shoots to bear new fruit. And I waited, nothing happened. But eventually, this entire tree bloomed and blossomed, and it was filled with apples. Let me say this. Your pain is not punishment from God. Your pain is pruning from God. You are being pruned. Our world is being pruned. Our nation is being pruned. Our churches are being pruned. Our businesses are being pruned. Our families are being pruned. Our marriages are being pruned. Our children are being pruned. For the non-Christian, all they feel is the pain. They don't understand the potential of the pruning.